Hey everybody, Who's Your Jedi here with another review for you. This time talking episode 2 of season 3 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. called Purpose in the Machine. And I definitely liked this episode. It really did seem to sort of get things moving from where we were last episode. Especially seeing as how it seems to did a nice job of really drawing more on the show's past history. So there's a lot to talk about, and let's just get into it. So one of the big things this episode is we find out what May's been up to, and mostly it's just sort of she's been chilling with her dad, who is apparently estranged from her mom. This isn't too hard to imagine. I never got the impression that the May family was a terribly happy one. But the nice thing about this is that May actually has a pretty cool relationship with her dad, who I don't recall the guy's name, but if you listen to him, you could easily tell that he was Poe's adoptive father in Kung Fu Panda, which is pretty cool because Kung Fu Panda is a very, very good movie. Anyway, so they have a nice little bit of banter back and forth, and I like how her dad really hits it on the head. That's like, May, come on, if you're really trying to walk away from this, you're going to be looking over your life, your shoulder the rest of your life. This is what you do. Is kind of the interpretation that I got from that. And she's still a little reluctant, but it looks like May is finally kind of gotten her head to the point where she's willing to get back in the game. Much to Hunter's happiness, because if you want to go and take down somebody like Ward, having May, who has just all pretty good damn reasons almost as good as he does for wanting Ward dead, yeah, she's definitely a good person to have. And I love that whole thing where she just like opens the door and suddenly he's got a knife to his throat. That's just like, wow, May, what if that had just been like, like a missionary or something? Okay, so let's go on. Now, this is also the episode where we get to finally have our look at what Ward has been up to, and he's kept his word from last season that he's really been consolidating what's left of Hydra around himself, and doing a pretty impressive job of it, albeit with a heavy-handed product placement involved. And I really did like that bit where he goes and he kidnaps, some guy who seems like just some pathetic wussy rich boy. And then the guy turns around and kicks the ass of the guy who was torturing him. And then we find out it's Werner von Strucker. Now, Baron Strucker in the comics had 3 children. He had Werner, and then he had, I think it was Andres and Andrea, who were basically called the Fenris twins. And they are the more well-known of his children. Werner's a little bit more obscure. And judging by his accent, apparently he was not raised in Germany, or he could just be one of those foreign people who's very, very good at using an American accent. But whatever. But this is definitely very intriguing. He sort of does have the historical credibility. It lends an air of legitimacy having the previous leader, the leader of one of the biggest guys in Hydra, basically doing his bidding. It lends a tremendous amount of credibility to Ward as the new leader of Hydra. And then sending the kid off to get buddy with May's ex-husband. Ooh, that's not good. That is definitely not good for May. So as much as she's looking for some payback on Ward, I don't think Ward's forgotten about how he stomped her throat and engineered Kara's death. So Ward's also looking for some payback there, which is pretty cool. And when those two run into each other again, it's probably going to be pretty darn spectacular. I also really liked how May's husband actually name drops the term secret warriors. That was pretty cool. I don't really have too much to say about him as a character, just that I am kind of on his side in this whole situation. Skye is really trying to shove people out into the field when they are not ready, and she really should know better. Let's see here. Nothing particular to say about Mack this episode. Sky. Again, her kind of coming together, obviously intended to be the leader and architect, if you will, of the Secret Warriors. Well, that's an idea that's coming along pretty nicely, and we definitely got to see her use her powers in a cool and interesting way here in the episode in the castle or whatever the heck that was in England. And it is very interesting that she was the only one that could hear the sound and nobody else could. Now, again, of course, this is because she's a human, but that's a little piece of information to file away in the back of our minds for later. It's probably going to become important in other situations. I definitely liked how they brought back Professor Randolph from season 1, and I love how they go and they find him. He's just like chilling in this Norwegian prison, and he's like totally happy to be there. This is in no small part due to me having recently finished watching Lilyhammer, which is a U.S. Norwegian co-production TV series, Netflix series, I should say. And it's kind of a crime comedy drama, and Norwegian prisons and how surprisingly comfortable they are is something that actually figured into the show several times. And I don't think Coulson was being sincere. It was like, hey, if you don't help me, I'm going to sick the ACTU. I call them the Attack You guys just because of their acronym. I'm on you, and I'm sure they'd love to dissect an Asgardian. I don't think Coulson is going to be the sort of person who would like engineer someone being vivisected just because they wouldn't cooperate with him. But Randolph is I think a little bit of a cynic when it comes to human nature, just having been around people for so long and been through so much terrible stuff in history. But I also like how he doesn't really completely let Coulson push him around either. He sort of yanks those bars off the door and puts them aside. Just kind of remind everybody, it's like, hey, don't try and mess with me, because I'm pretty damn strong. I'm an Asgardian. And he even gets up and fits his face and says, like, hey man, if you force me to go through you, you're going to be a stain on the floor. But they also remind him, like, yeah, you're not going to try anything because you don't know what Coulson and Sky are capable of. So it's a little bit of an uneasy alliance, but Randolph goes along with it for the most part. And, I mean, it was a nice dynamic. And that bit at the end where he says about how it's been a long time since he's heard the word inhuman. Now that's really intriguing. Because Randolph, he's been around long enough, he clearly knows something about the Inhumans. And he's pretty much about the only source of friendly information, besides Lincoln, that these guys have got. And Lincoln, in terms of friendly, is marginal at best. And remember, he would have only known what Sky's mom told him. Mei Ying, I think is how her name was said. So he's probably does not have a very complete picture of Inhuman history or society, I'm going to imagine. We don't get to see Lash this episode, but that's okay. He's off percolating in the background, ready to pop up again soon enough, I'm sure. Let's see. Nothing really huge to say about Coulson this episode. Fitz, oh man, it was really fun just watching Fitz go absolutely ape shit this episode. I mean, I totally knew he was going to try jumping through that portal the second he had an opportunity. But I was genuinely surprised that they managed to rescue Simmons this episode. I thought they were going to do the thing where he gets yanked back at the last second, and then he gets back and he freaks out even harder. But the show surprised me with that, because if I stop and think about it, this choice actually makes a lot of sense. Because Simmons has nobody to really bounce off on that alien world. And we don't really know a whole lot about what's going on there. And I think they want to keep what's going on there as mysterious as possible. But if they had not gotten her back this episode, they probably would have, just in terms of storytelling, needed a couple more episodes before they could legitimately find some sort of way to try again. And by then, I think we, the viewers, probably would have gotten a little sick of, Simmons is stuck on this alien planet and Fitz is freaking the hell out. Now that she's back, it's like, okay, we can start getting some serious information about this place. And it's a very interesting dynamic in that last time around, it was Fitz who was the sort of very mentally damaged person who leaned on Simmons during his hard time. Now it's Simmons who is seriously screwed up, and she's obviously going to be leaning pretty heavily on Fitz. So where's that going to go with their relationship? Well, there's a lot of ways that things could happen, but I don't think, happy times and kissing are in anybody's future anytime soon. And let's see here. Anything else that I need to talk about? No, nothing's really jumping out at me. Again, as I said, all in all, this is a pretty solid episode. It definitely moved things along. There were at least a couple of good surprises, like the rich kid turning out to be Werner, him going off on a mission to get close to May's husband, and then of course them getting Simmons back so soon. I'm really looking forward to, though, when the team is fully and properly back together, because that's when I think things are really going to start clicking. But I mean, next week we're obviously going to get to see some scenes where Simmons starts giving us some information about what's happened on that alien planet. Professor Randolph might still be around, so I'm sure he'll be able to put in his 2 cents on things. So I think next episode we're really going to start getting a more clear picture about where things are going to be going in this episode. And hopefully Joey will be back, because I think they really do also start needing to move the Secret Warriors thing along as well. And yeah, that covers everything I had for you guys this time. As always, please comment, rate, subscribe, and of course you can follow me on Twitter at Who's Your Jedi. Until next time, take care and have a good one.